I went on Craigslist and I found this 327 engine for sale, pretty cheap. It's got the heads were reworked on it recently. Well, it's been sitting for 20 years, but the heads were reworked within 300 miles on it, and it's only got, like I said, 300 miles on it, and it should be completely solid. It had good oil pressure when it was running last, and I'm hoping this will be a quick, easy fix and just do a few things to it. I got an aluminum intake, put it, maybe the Edelbrock carb right back from the other car right onto this, and this will be a quick, easy turnaround for the Impala, just a kind of a stock, just set it in, and then I got that 350 that with the 4-bolt main that I'm going to probably build up this winter when I have time, and that'll go into the Impala then. But doing a lot of traveling for work, so this is just a quick, easy option just to get the car running and hash out any other problems that I might be having. But yeah, just to start with, I mean, it was when it was stored, every single port was closed. You can see the breathers were closed. The carburetor wasn't actually. It was sitting open, just how it is right now. But the water lines, those were all plugged. So everything there, even the exhaust manifolds, they had plugs in them. So there shouldn't be any mice or anything going on in it. Just mostly all the hoses need replaced, obviously. I bought a new timing chain and harmonic balancer for it, and oil pan gasket and valve cover gaskets. And I'm really hoping that will get me by, along with that aluminum intake and the carburetor switch. But I was going to try to use this distributor, but I'm going to at least need a new cap on it. And then I'm looking down here on the bottom, new internals also at least. So this wire right here is cut off and frayed. Kind of tough to see, but so it's going to need a little work, but figured I'd degrease it decently, not very well, and then just kind of shoot it with some orange paint so it doesn't look terrible, and throw it in the car with the new seals and everything, so hopefully it'll work then. So that's going to be my plan, and hopefully get the car running in the next couple weeks. Okay, so I took the carburetor off, and you look down into this intake here, and I'm kind of glad I bought a new one, because I got all that rust down in there I'd have to get rid of somehow if I was going to run the engine. So got that off. I took the shop vac and just kind of vacuumed off what's ever on top here, because I think I'm going to be eventually pulling off the intake at least, and it's just better to be clean, not get all that dust down in there. Next thing, there was some rust down underneath the valve cover on this side on the head there. So I'm going to pull off the valve cover here, try to clean that up, tape up the top, and just keep any extra dirt from getting down in there, and then just kind of go from there. Okay, so here's what it looks like under the valve cover here. I went ahead and taped up the intake port and also the water passages, just because I don't want anything extra going through there. They're kind of grungy in there. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use the water pump. If I do, I'll probably be, fill up the radiator, run it 500 miles. I'll have to redrain it and try running it again. But you look in here, and you just got a bunch of dirt and grime in here. I already vacuumed it out too, so this is after vacuuming it. So this is just the stuff that's kind of stuck in there more. That might even be a spider web in there. But yeah, this is the rust I was talking about. I'm going to try to just clean that up. I got a couple of scuffing pads. So see what I can get done with that. And my plan is, once I kind of get the rust off of it, vacuum it as much as I can without using any liquids, just keeping it dry, keeping everything out of the oil passages here. And then I'll just put some more pour oil and some cleaner in on the top side here, and let it drain right back down into the engine, and do the other side too. And then, like I said, it all goes down into the pan, so change the oil. So that's my plan. I know that isn't really the best idea. It's not good for your engine to have all that grit and grime, and this really should be thoroughly cleaned if I was going to run it for a long time. But I'm just trying to get through to the winter time when I build up a new engine. So this will really hurt the engine, I think, but you know what, I think it's going to be okay if it's been run. The bottom end's not been rebuilt, so maybe I have some bigger bearing clearances in there. Hopefully I do, so I don't ruin it completely, but I'm going to do the best I can on the top side here without going into it and just keep it clean, but just realize that I'm going to be building up a new engine for the car come winter time, so I don't have to be overly excessive for it. Just keep it clean enough so they'll run for a season. Okay, so I've gone through this and kind of cleaned it up best I can and dry just by using the vacuum, shop towel, a little bit of Scotch-Brite, and this wire brush. It's got plastic fingers on it. That wire brush was great for getting in between the valves so I didn't have to take the rocker arms off. It would get right down in the groove there. You can bend it to whatever shape and then work your way around, and then use the vacuum quite a bit, just trying to keep everything off of the head as I can. Yeah, surface stress came right off, and there was some right up here that came off too. So it worked out pretty good. Like I said, still going to use that liquid cleaner, do that to both sides yet, and then drain the oil. Maybe run it 100 miles once I get it going, drain the oil again, and 500 miles drain the oil, and then just start a regular routine. But just kind of breaking it in, I know there's a lot of dirt and it'll work its way loose, so trying to keep the engine not running that through, but get it best as I can for now without putting in all this extra time in. Alright, so one of my exhaust valves, the rocker arm was loose. So it was actually this one right here, and so right now I turned the engine over just by hand to the full extension, and what I'm doing is I'm measuring to see if the cam lobe is warm. So I don't have a dial indicator or anything, so what I'm doing might not be 100% right, I guess, but this will tell me if the cam is out of place or the cam lobe is worn or not. So what I'm doing is putting this old style caliper in here right next to the push rod and measuring the distance to the top of the rocker arm. So that's all the way on the bottom to the top of the rocker arm. So what I'm going to do is then go to a different exhaust valve, keep it the same type of valve, exhaust or intake, and do the same measurement. So I'm going to come over here to cylinder 8, get the cylinder 8 on exhaust on full extension, and make that measurement again. And what I'll find out is if my cam has been worn out or not, if that cam lobe is gone. It's going to be not a very accurate measurement, but if it's really bad, it'll be obvious, and if it's not that bad, I'm just going to run it for a season. Like I said, it's just going to be one season type deal, so just going to do that and see what happens. Okay, so I pulled the oil pan off to replace the gasket around it, and you look down on the bottom here, I got all this sludge down here just because this engine's been sitting so long. It's up to about a ½ inch thick in places, and it's just disgusting stuff. But you know, when you pull the oil, it's sitting about underneath that the plug there, so that's why it wasn't coming out right away. We let it drain for a while, but yeah, gonna clean this up. Just honestly, just gonna power wash it, get all that gunk out of there, try to clean up the inside of the engine, and clean this up and throw it back on there with a new seal, I guess. Alright, so got the engine turned over upside down now with the oil pan off. So what I'm doing is just scraping off the gasket here and just trying to be really careful not to get any of this gasket material into the engine. So I have all these towels put in right there. I'll scrape all the gasket off, pull those towels out, and that should take most of the material out. And then, I don't know, I'll have to just hope for the best on the rest of it, because I'm not going to take the whole thing apart to get every single particle out of there, but try to clean it up the best as I can and keep it as clean as I can as I go. Okay, so I didn't get a real good video of this, but I was on the time restraint after I put this gasket sealer on here. I had 5 minutes to get the next gasket, put this pan gasket on and get this whole thing sealed too. So what I did was you put extra gasket sealer on the corners where the seal meets the block there, all 4 corners, and then the gasket I got, it's set up for a oil dipstick on either side, so you see it sticking out here. So I put some extra gasket sealer right here, and I just went for the full insurance policy and gasket sealed this whole pan surface, not the block, but just the pan side. and all the way around. So hopefully that'll lead me to a good solid seal all the way around, but that's just the way I went. Now I'm torquing everything down, or I guess we're torquing everything down. According to the instructions with this pan gasket, what they want is 8 foot-pounds on the small bolts, and then the corner bolts they're bigger, and they get 18 foot-pounds. So not real tight. You can over tighten it, and once you do that, then your seal is bad then. So torque it to the right spec, and I think what we're going to do is go around 2 times, because just to make sure that it's tight after we get that initial compression, and then I'll come back and check it after it gets run once or twice again. So that way I know I got a good solid seal all the way around. Okay, so I got the harmonic balancer put back on, put the pulleys back on, and then I put the water pump back on, reusing the same one. And so I put some gasket sealer on either side of the gasket. New gaskets came with a timing chain cover gasket, so put those on, put gasket sealer on both sides actually. For this, just kind of put it on a thin layer on either side so that wouldn't leak. Put some gasket sealer on all the bolts also, again just to be sure that I don't have a problem so that it doesn't leak. I don't know what's on the other side if the water passages are open through the bolts, so just wanted to play it safe so that I don't have to go back at it and do something again this way. But this is on, should be good to go. On to the next thing. Alright, so after a week off, I'm back at the small block 327. I got the new timing chain installed, harmonic balancer, water pump, all that good stuff is all put in now. And I went to set the valve lash, and then I was going to take off the intake manifold, put on my new aluminum intake and new distributor, and then thought the engine would be good to go, ready to go. Setting the valve timing, or valve backlash, or preload, I guess. My cylinder 2 intake does not move at all. So, yeah, I thought, okay, that's wrong. Spun it over 3 or 4 times by hand, and I couldn't even notice just a little hump or anything. So I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the line, this one went bad, and it's just, that is one of the roundest lobes I think I've ever seen. I've seen them before where they'll move only a little bit up or something like that, but nope, this is just completely gone, and it did not come up, move at all. So that lobe has to be just completely gone. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to take the intake manifold off and see if I can get a look at the lifter and go from there, I guess. Okay, so get the intake manifold off here. If you look down into the bay here, you see, I'm kind of glad I took this off. I have rust all the way down in here, and it's just filled with junk. I don't know what happened in here, but I don't think that was all from me working around in there, but there's gasket and rust and just dirt all over out and through there. That's a nice clean looking water port there, but just all dirty all the way through. Okay, so the 327 sat for just a little bit. Once I found out that cam lobe was shot, it's just kind of sat here, and I was trying to figure out what to do. But I just got a new camshaft, so I think that's going to be just kind of thrown in there, camshaft and lifters, and just going to pray that the push rods are going to be the right size, and hopefully that'll work, and then throw this engine back together and stick it in the car and see if it runs, see how bad it really is, I guess. So